Now, let's turn to the man who, it has to be said, is conspicuous by his absence this afternoon. Nigel Mansell, hero of Silverstone in, what, 87, 91, 92, 5 times a winner of this British Grand Prix. A lot of the 90,000 spectators here this afternoon would have bought their tickets a long time ago in the hope of seeing Nigel Mansell in the British Grand Prix once again, but his Formula One return with McLaren, as we've heard, was short-lived in a difficult, largely uncompetitive car. So what of Nigel's future now? Well, I went down to his Woodbury Park Golf Club near Exeter to talk to him during the course of this week.
I'd like to make this point that I haven't retired. All I've done is stood down. I'm looking at life. I have an awful lot of interested parties wanting me to do all sorts of Formula all around the world. But, you know, my heart is in Formula One, and until such time that I don't feel there's an opportunity to go back to Formula One and compete, you know, at the top, then I should be patient and wait and see what happens.
That really must just heighten the frustration of what happened over the last few months at McLaren. Can you take us through the events of the final days? How was that decision reached?
I think a lot of it is very personal, which I don't really want to discuss. I think the facts people can see, basically, and that is, I mean, McLaren are a great team. They've got some fantastic people and personnel there. But ultimately, shall we just say, I think some of the engineers got it wrong, and the car wasn't up to what we all thought it would be. And basically, after doing what I've done with 31 Grand Prix wins, I'm there to compete at the highest level and not make the numbers up. And I still believe the car is not correct for the drivers, but everyone's working real hard, and I know eventually they'll get it right. And we're just waiting and hoping that they'll get it right sooner rather than later, and then we'll see what might or might not happen. Mercedes are a fantastic manufacturer for sure. They'll have a very powerful engine by the end of this year. And I wish them all well, and as I said, there's some great people there, and the mechanics especially. I mean, I've never seen people work harder.
When you entered the championship somewhat belatedly at Imola, did you feel that the problems with the car then were absolutely fundamental?
Well, when I first drove the car, I mean, you know, going back to the late great Colin Chapman back in the late 70s, early 80s, when you get in the car, as soon as it turns a wheel and you do the first or second lap, you know whether a car is good or not. And shall we just say that, unfortunately, the car is not consistent. And I think, you know, to depersonalise it from McLaren, I'll just talk about myself, for instance. I mean, I've been a very committed driver over the years. You can see with my driving style some of the over-exuberant displays of overtaking that I've done over the years. And I commit to a corner probably as much, if not more so, than any other driver in recent history of Grand Prix racing. And I put myself in a situation whereby I go very deep into a corner, and then when I turn that wheel, I need the car to give me what I need, which is the support and the feeling that I'm going to turn immediately. Because I've committed, I'm on the edge, and I'm on the edge of having an accident or not having an accident. And you can do that in a good car, you can do it in a great car, you can do it in not so good car, but you know, when you basically put yourselves in that position and then you turn the wheel and nothing happens, right, because the car has an inherent understeer problem, I can't do my job, I can't function with whatever team I'm driving for.
Where did the initiative for the stand down come from? Was it something that...
From myself.
It was?
Yeah, from myself. I mean, to be the third most winningmost driver in the history of the world and to be the most winningmost driver in the history of this country, I think I had to protect my reputation. And you don't protect your reputation by going out and competing and qualifying in the middle of the grid or finishing, you know, halfway down or whatever. You only do that by challenging and competing with the best. So I think the stand down, as I called it, and what was agreed, was the most sensible thing to do because it keeps all options open. And as I said, we've had a lot of interest around the world, and we haven't jumped with anything. We're just being very patient. I'm keeping myself fit, I'm doing a lot of business, and I'm watching with interest and sadness with some of the racing that's going on because, you know, it was my intention to win the World Championship this year in a Williams.
But to reiterate the fact that you very definitely haven't retired, now is the time within the Formula One season that drivers start looking ahead to next year. So
yeah, but
are you initiating dialogue?
No, well, you've got to be a realist as well. And you know, I'm being patient. I'm not chasing anybody. Everybody knows I'm here in the marketplace. They certainly know I haven't retired. Otherwise, the TVs and the press would have told everybody in the world by now. But I'm also a realist, and I shall wait and see what might or might not transpire in the next months. And if an opportunity arises to do something seriously sensible in Formula One, I'll be there. I'll be there like a shot. But if not, then perhaps the time of Formula One has passed by. In which case I can be very thankful what I have achieved and what I have accomplished, and be very happy for that.
If that situation does arise, what would be your involvement in motorsport in general in the years to come? What would you like it to be?
I think you can only answer that question when it happens, and that's why, you know, as the years have gone by and the experience I've got in Formula One, it's given me the patience to, if you like, now just be patient and wait. We will know probably within the next 2 months or so, and then I can tell you what involvement I'll have in motor racing, if I'm involved in Formula One or not involved in Formula One. But motor racing's been dear to my heart for 28 years, so I'm not going to walk away totally.
What's your view of the way the season has unfolded so far?
Very mixed feelings, really. I think disappointment that there's not more teams closer together. You know, motor racing goes full circle, and you know, they're making the cars a little bit easier to drive. They're taking some of the aids away, but the tyres are narrow. They're taking horsepower away from the engine. It's very difficult to get wheel spin from a car at times unless the tracks are very slippy, and then, you know, the cars are always on tippy toes and unstable totally. But in general, I would say Michael is in a league on his own, closely followed by Damon. And then you've got Gerhard, who's doing a great job, and John Alesi. I mean, wasn't it fantastic to see him win in Canada?
You enjoyed that?
Absolutely, I did. I mean, someone who has done 90 whatever Grand Prix and then wins, I mean, he should have won years ago. So I was very thrilled for him. But, you know, McLaren have seemed to have, Ferrari seem to have stalled a little bit at the moment. I thought they were making real good progress. But basically, you've got the Benetton team, the Williams team, the Ferrari team, and then what a fantastic story about Eddie Jordan, the Jordan team. Marvellous what they've done. But you haven't got the depth of drivers that you had years ago, to come back what I said. You know, when I was racing, at one time you had 6 or 7 world champions racing together. You've got one.
Oh. So watch this space. Nigel Mansell has definitely not retired.
Well, we haven't retired today, that's for sure, anyway.
Nigel, you're going to be missed this weekend, that's for sure. What plans do you have for British Grand Prix weekend? Where are you going to be?
Where I'm going to be? I think I'm actually playing in the Devon Open. 36 hole against some professionals around here, and I'm thinking of some good memories of Silverstone and winning there quite a number of times. But I mean, sadly, it'd lovely to be there in a competitive car, wouldn't it? I mean, no question about it. But to all my fans out there, have a great weekend, support all the Brits, and I think hopefully you'll have a good weekend.